Georgia is famous for its ancient culture, but the phrase insurance culture for us is completely new and therefore quite suspicious. I am Vladimir Onanyan, and today we will continue to deal with the Georgian insurance system. Despite all the difficulties, to date the insurance business in Georgia received a fairly high level of development. It was not always so. In Soviet times, this sphere was under full control of the state. In the turbulent 90s, first steps were made, mostly trial with lots of mistakes. Now the situation has changed dramatically. There are 14 insurance companies on the Georgian market currently, and the competition, as experts note, is very high.
Georgian insurance market is not limited in its possibilities. Despite the attempts of the state and the representatives of the sector in the country to promote a culture of risk insurance, the industry needs further development and serious help. According to the experts, developing at the current rate, the insurance market of Georgia will be able to reach the level of the Western countries only in a few decades, and only if the West will cease to make progress at all. Insurance culture in the Georgian society almost does not exist. There are lots of reasons according to experts, but the main ones are the absence of compulsory insurance, which is the boost for the insurance business and the industry in general, lack of awareness of citizens regarding the services and benefits, as well as the notorious social motives and the difficult economic situation in the country. One of the directions of the insurance company, RD, Misha Japaridze, an expert with years of experience, is sure. The economic climate and the insurance market are interconnected. The development of the latter is always strengthens the economics.
This is a very strong business which develops the whole country. Regarding financial institutions, in Georgia most developed is the banking system and the least is the insurance. And when the insurance becomes more developed, it will be affected the country's economics, because the development of insurance generates lots of extra finances, which enables the development of many other structures like infrastructure and others. But without the state's assistance, it will be unable for the sphere to be developed.
Speaking of compulsory types of insurance, it is worth noting that Georgia, in terms of their absence, is almost alone, not only in the region but throughout the civilized world. The reason for this is a set of circumstances. According to observers, it is too reverent attitude of the state of the compulsory tariff, which a citizen could perceive negatively. However, Georgia's aspiration to the EU obliges the country to implement certain types of compulsory insurance.
Presently we have no compulsory insurance here, everything is voluntary. But if there is any kind of compulsory insurance, for example vehicle insurance or any other type, then it will be a real stimulus for further development of the sphere in the country. Presently in Georgia there are about 1 million of registered vehicles, among which only about 60,000 are insured, even less. If the third-party insurance will be introduced, which actually doesn't mean the insurance of a car, this will be a social product, since upon purchasing it a person can really save money.
Successful implementation of at least one type of insurance at the initial stage will contribute to the development of insurance culture in the country and prove the benefits received from being secure from risks. Accordingly, it will lead to the increase of the amount of customers and the development of the market. This is rather important in the context of EU association agreements signing, for Georgia has taken obligations in various spheres, including insurance. According to the words of George Gigolashvili, the head of the Georgian Insurance Institute, today active works are being conducted in various directions.
First of all, I need to mention the payability margin, some options that should be satisfied by the companies in order to prove their capability to pay in case of necessity. Simply speaking, authorized capital should be increased. Also, we are implementing elements of corporative management. All strategic decisions will be made not by a single person but by the whole group of shareholders. A united monitoring system will be formed. We are also working on the insurance brokers issue. They are in charge of coordination between a company and clients, providing the necessary information and so on. Sure, we should start from the implementation of the compulsory types of insurance.
Speaking of compulsory insurance, the Georgian government intends to reform the pension system and introduce the country's mandatory pension insurance, thereby reducing the social risk for the elderly. A substantial reform of the pension system, which provides the transition to the cumulative principle, is based on the compulsory pension insurance. As a result of reforms in the system, the important role will be performed by private pension institutions. The amount of pension will depend only on the amount of insurance and the insurance contribution. The state will have a regulating function so that the system would be kept stable. In addition, citizens who do not have a full experience and insurance contributions will be appointed the social pension.
Insurance is being regulated by the Insurance Law of Georgia adopted in 1997, with several additions. The regulation being accomplished the following way. The law determines that the state regulator is the Insurance Monitoring Service, which has become fully independent since 2013. The company should be financially stable and bankruptcy risks should be eliminated. The service is not only in charge of license issue, but also contributes to the development of insurance market.
Besides the mentioned service, there is one more organization helping to disputes, Mediation Service, the basic functions of which are the protection of rights of the insured and the dispute regulations between clients and the hospital sector.
When we talk about the development of the insurance business, we should know that some of the aspects are already working properly. The jurisdiction base in Georgia is quite good. Also rather active are the Insurance Association and the Mediation Service. Any dispute or conflict is solved by them. A client can be insured according to either corporative or individual principle. This service is absolutely free. I always advise clients to thoroughly get acquainted with the contracts where it is noted that they can use the service.
However, more legislative initiatives are required for the development of the insurance industry, experts consider, adding that it is necessary that insurance companies to be split with medical, banking and other sectors, since such alliances often lead to conflicts of interests. Some of the companies in Georgia are connected with banks, medical institutions and other industries where the owners hold the stakes and in some cases fit their client to their interests. Experts appeal to cancel such a practice, which will lead to the development of the insurance business in Georgia.
The lack of insurance culture in Georgian society is first thing indicated by experts. With the help of government programs, the health insurance got more or less developed. Now the practice of agricultural insurance is being actively implemented. But the population is still not ready to accept a situation where people annually pay a certain amount in order to protect themselves against possible adversity. But let's see how the system works in a country where the culture of insurance is at its highest point.
Sweden is a country where one is not afraid to go to a hospital, a degree or a pension. By redistributing resources among different groups of people in different periods of their lives, the social insurance system makes it possible for its citizens to remain quietly at home during illness and not be afraid of the coming age. Generally, the concept of social protection in the Scandinavian countries has transformed into the concept of social welfare. Social insurance is the foundation of the Swedish social protection system. The state insurance office is under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Health and Social Affairs and is in charge of overall insurance. All the citizens over 16 are registered at one of the 26 local insurance offices. And it doesn't matter whether you work or not, the Swedish people, following the principle of social justice, think that those who cannot work shouldn't suffer because of that. There are more than 50 types of various payments, compensations and allowances. Here are some of them. Family welfare system. It includes a number of allowances meant for both families with children and without them. The child allowance is 1,000 crowns per child. Most families get it, which is a considerable part of the social budget. Child allowance enables parents to combine family life and work. Both parents can take long leave from work. Families having financial difficulties or given targeted housing subsidies. Alimony is paid out to a child whose parents live apart. The parents of disabled children can get allowances in order to look after them at home. Also, there is a special allowance for those having health problems or undergoing medical rehabilitation. Another type of medical insurance is a so-called allowance for a family member care. It is meant for those compelled to quit work to take care of seriously ill family members. There are also allowances for the citizens whose working ability is reduced by 25% at least due to illness. Those unable to work, aged from 19 to 29 years, have the right for a paid practice, the so-called activation program. People at the age from 30 to 64 are paid an allowance for long-term disability. However, until 2003, such people used to go on an early pension or were paid a health allowance. Also, an allowance is paid out in case of incurable industrial damage when a citizen is unable to go on working. People with disabilities deserve a special mention. The state can hire a personal assistant if necessary, all due to the contributions you made while working for those who had worked for you. Particularly, it happens thanks to the perfect system of social welfare. All Swedish citizens have access to the European medical insurance system, which enables them to get required medical aid throughout the EU. Pension is another important element of the social protection system. Sweden has been following a new pension system since 2003. It includes a retirement pension, a funded pension, and a guaranteed pension minimum. 18.5% income of each Swedish citizen is charged as a pension tax. It is then included into the system of social redistribution. It means that the money you pay now is paid out to the pensioners. 2.5% of the share is sent to the pension fund. The money is saved as securities people choose. The sum is funded individually and is paid out starting from retirement. It is common knowledge that Sweden has high taxes, the highest among the EU. The income tax depends on salary, which constitutes about from 30 to 60%. At the same time, an average employer is charged from 25 to 31% of the gross salary of their employees, which is far from little. But the Swedish people are not reluctant to pay, since they know well how the money works. Sofia Tetradze, Sweden, specially for money.
So let's summarize with the representative of the GPI holding company, Tina Tinstambulishvili.
Здравствуйте, Тина. Большое спасибо, что согласились помочь.
Hello, Tina. Thank you for helping to understand such a complex issue as the insurance industry. Today is much talked about the need for the introduction of compulsory civil liability insurance in Georgia. What has prevented to do it before? After all, our country, despite the leadership in many other areas in this issue, has lagged behind the rest of the world.
You are absolutely right. Georgia is among the countries that could be counted on one hand where there is no valid compulsory insurance of liability of vehicles owners. Here we can list a number of factors, but mainly it's probably a desire on the part of the state. However, the situation now has changed since it is one of the EU requirements in context of harmonization project as well as a social project which is a must for Georgia. Even if you ignore the fact that liability insurance for owners of cars is essential for the development of the insurance sector, I think this project will be useful for every citizen, the work on which has already begun, and I believe that the project is going to enter into force, if not next year, then at least either in 2017 or 2018 by all means.
Еще одна проблема – это жалобы на...
Another problem is the complaint about insufficient quality service. We have just watched how this situation is in Sweden. Why cannot we boast the same, or at least an approximate to such a level of service?
К этому уровню. Что нужно делать?
As for the quality of service in the insurance sector, I do not know what information or statistics you rely on. However, I must note that each company has its own standards and its measure. The main priority of our strategy is the high quality of service. According to our research, the number of satisfied customers is more than 95%. We are constantly trying to develop our service and make it more accessible, simple and convenient. However, standards of the companies represented in the social market may vary. Unified statistics as such does not exist. I do not agree with the statement that we have a low level of service.
Тина, вот как можно увеличить
And still, how to increase the number of high-level professionals? Did you discuss this issue?
проблема каким-нибудь образом?
As probably in any other sphere, in the sphere of insurance there is also a shortage of professional staff, especially due to the fact that this case requires specific knowledge. Our company has a special training center where we prepare future experts in various fields.
А что делать с недостаточностью информированности населения?
Do you think how can be solved the problem of awareness lack regarding benefits of the insurance system?
Улучшить в этом направлении деятельность.
For the development of the insurance culture in the country, it is very important that the maximum number of people were fully informed about the insurance of risks. People need to know what benefits they will receive from the insurance. It is not easy. I think a cornerstone here is a compulsory insurance, so the maximum number of people were connected to this reference system. In most countries, along with the usual insurance, there are always compulsory ones. That is what enables mass insurance of citizens, what develops the insurance culture, what is important from the social point of view.
Тина, многие специалисты...
According to the forecast of some experts, after the introduction of compulsory private liability insurance, Georgia will become more attractive for large foreign investors, not the portfolio ones, but those dealing with the insurance industry. How will this affect the market? How will it affect local businesses? Will this lead to tougher competition?
Станет ли более жесткой конкуренция?
Today, Georgia's insurance market is not particularly attractive to foreign investors. Our company, GPI Holding, is a member of the Vienna Insurance Group. I can say that the Vienna Insurance Group is the only company of such a level and with such rating which operates on the Georgian market. It is important that Georgia became more attractive for investors. One of the contributing factors will certainly be the increase of the number of the insured. Even if we compare Georgia with less developed countries of Eastern Europe, the number of insurance is much less. Again, I go back to the issue of compulsory insurance importance. In this case, insurance companies and foreign investors can witness completely different picture.
Тина, вот скажите, пожалуйста, как страховой бизнес взаимодействует...
How does the insurance industry interact with the state? What changes in the legislation are necessary and what is being done at this stage?
...этапе и планируется ли?
Together with the state, we are actively working on a project of agricultural insurance. In the process is the draft compulsory insurance for vehicle owners. Very intensive consultations are being held. We share opinions and take into account each other's positions. Agro-insurance has been carrying out for the second year, and the project of compulsory insurance, I think, will soon start working. After the disaster of June 13, we very seriously raised the question of introducing the system of property insurance against natural disasters, which exists in many countries. These are natural processes, especially in terms of global warming. They happen quite often. On June 13, one of the local incidents was followed by a devastating effect. We believe that the system of insurance in such cases should be one of, say, helping hands, so that the responsibility for damages is not rested on the shoulders of the state only. That's why we work on a project that will provide property insurance of the population from natural disasters. In developed countries, the insurance industry in such cases covers 50% of the damage and above. I think this issue is very important for the economy and the state will accept our initiative.
Большое спасибо, Дина, что согласились.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And still, the insurance culture is a wonderful thing. For instance, reading a newspaper in a comfortable environment such as in this luxurious Tiflis Palace Hotel. And it is doubly pleasant when you know, no matter what happens tomorrow, timely covered insurance policy is a guarantee against unexpected losses of such hard-earned money.